Hi, Julie here. Welcome to Love is Blonde. Today I wanted to talk about some of my favorite Estetica pieces. I really have always liked Estetica. It was one of the first brands that I kind of bonded with when I first started wearing wigs 2 years ago. Matter of fact, the piece I'm wearing right now is Avalon, and it is in the color RH1488 RT8. It is the popular rooted blonde in the Estetica line that has been compared to 12 FS8 in the John Renault, which is it's a pretty good comparison. I think it's close to that color. We'll talk about the color a little bit later, but this Avalon that I bought, I've had it now for a little bit over 2 years. I bought a new one recently, and I thought it might be nice to compare the two, see if there's any differences. Right off the bat, you have to, if you're familiar with Avalon, you know it doesn't have bangs. So this was added by me after the fact when I bought it. I wanted everything with bangs when I started out, and it's not really a bad idea because it covers a multitude of sins, but some of those lace fronts are so good now, I hate to cover them up. But anyway, this one is really one of my favorites and always has been. It's not heat friendly, and that's one of the two things I think stand out the most about Estetica as compared to some of the other popular brands. They don't make any that I know of heat friendly fibers, and the difference is really in the way that they wear. I think this is going to last a lot longer than my heat friendly ones. One heat friendly one I've gotten recently, I really have, because of the the pandemic, I haven't gone that many places, and when I do, I'm not there that long, but it seems to be wearing out, and I'm disappointed. I mean, it really is they get yucky. You know, when heat-friendly fibers go bad, they go bad. And they say you can recoup them with heat, which you can. But once they have gone south and you've recouped them with heat, you kind of have to keep doing it a lot because they just go bad again. That's been my experience anyway. Non-heat friendly fibers, they aren't as soft when you get them. They're a little less soft right off the bat. But they stay this way, in my opinion, a lot longer. I wore this one on vacation once, and I know I wore it many days in a row. This was a couple years ago, and I thought it wore a little bit, but it didn't wear like my heat-friendly ones do. So that's the major difference there with Estetica and other brands compared to the other brands that are popular now. One thing I can say about Estetica, as far as blondes go, which is what this channel is all about, is that in my opinion, their blonde collection is a little bit lacking. This is always my go-to color, but to be honest with you, I think it's too dark. It does have the dark rooting, as you can see, but if you compare this to the other Estetica wigs in the 1488 line, this is darker. Not just at the root, but all throughout it seems to be darker. I'd say this is closer to a 12. Well, maybe it is a true 14, but there's not as many highlights. So it's just not the blonde that I like the best. When I'm in the sun, it really does pop, which is nice. And I'll show that to you later. But so not having the best blondes and being non-heat friendly are the two things about Estetica I think that stand apart apart from other brands as we know them. I did get a new Avalon, as I mentioned, and it has not had bangs cut into it. And what I wanted to do was kind of compare the two, because over a period of 2 years, you might find that there's some differences in the style. I have heard that the newer Esteticas have a tighter curl. If there is a tighter curl, it's not as noticeable as you might think. So this one, first of all, is just below shoulder length. It doesn't have a lot of layering, if any, to speak of. The front piece, I'll show that to you with the other one because mine has been cut. But it's long as well, so it makes for a nice off-the-face style. And it's very popular. It's really, I'll tell you one thing they do right with this wig. There's no permatease to speak of. There's a little bit. I think they put up there what they had to have, but there's not permatease to make it go poof. And I really like that. I feel like it comes down over my head like my hair would if it was real. So I appreciate that better. There is one more thing about Estetica wigs that is a disadvantage to me personally and some of you other wig sisters out there. We have, those of us who have small heads, Estetica is big. It really does run big. And I noticed in the new one that I got, it's even, it might be a little bit bigger even than this one. Although I did take tucks in this one down this way. I'll show those to you in a minute. But they helped. It really helped a lot. It fits my head great with the adjustment. This one, I'm not even sure I can adjust it really well. I feel like it's just a little bit too big for me. And oddly enough, I bought it. I left it in the box because I do that so many times. Then they came out with Berlin, which is the petite version of this wig. So I wished I'd gotten Berlin instead. So I may put this one up for sale and go ahead and get a Berlin. But I am going to get a different color. I think I'm going to lean towards a lighter version of the 1488s. So anyway, I'll give you a couple of views of this, and then I'm going to put the other one on. It's got a nice wave, a really pretty wave, and I think the length is, it's great. You know, if you're going to get wigs that go below the shoulder, I suggest non-heat friendly. But there really aren't that many available that look good. And I tell you, Belle Tress has some stunning styles lately. Wow. If only I was younger. But I just don't think they're going to last. And they're so expensive. Ugh. Anyway, I'll show you the lace front here. This one has got, it's not the greatest. It wants to curl on me. So when I put this one on, I have to kind of pull the curl out. And of course there's no blonde shading in the front like some of the other manufacturers do their blondes. But it's still nice, and it goes down right to here. Seems like the ear tab construction starts up here and comes down. And it's another thing about Estetica wigs is they're super comfortable. This is, I mean, it just really is comfortable. Even though it didn't fit my head perfectly, I feel like I put it on and it's just, yeah, you know, it doesn't, I don't feel awkward in it at all. It just fits my head well, except for the too big part. So anyway, there is a little bit of metal in the nape, which is nice. I've never really messed with that very much. Maybe I should. And of course there's metal in these too, in the ear tabs. But here we go. Estetica Avalon, RH1488 RT8, and it's a couple of years old. I say I got this one in mid-2019. So I will show you the brand new one from this year. Be right back. Well, right off the bat, I can see a difference in the color, and that really surprises me. These have exactly the same color code. But what I've noticed about this one is there are more highlights and they're a little lighter. So it has a little bit more of the blonde, you know, the lighter 88 coming out than just all 14. And this one does too have some highlights, but I just don't feel like they're the same. I'm going to see if you can tell the difference. I mean, I really noticed it when I first put this on. It just seems like this one is a little bit lighter. Got a few more of those highlights in them and they're a little brighter, which is nice. I think they're heading the right direction with that. And of course, no bangs, because this is how it comes. Here's a new lace front. Feels pretty much the same as mine, except it's newer and it hasn't got that tendency to curl under like mine does. Another thing I've noticed all of a sudden too, I guess I feel more permatease. Not a lot, just a little bit more, and only on this side. It seems to be the same on this side, but on this side I have a little bit more than I do with the older one. So that is interesting to me too. I know there's always going to be subtle differences in all wigs. You just can't get two that are the same. I say they're like snowflakes. But, you know, sometimes they really have differences that just jump out at you. So side by side in the front here, and on the side, you can see some of that difference in color. Let's see if I can do this. There we go. Hopefully I have enough light here that you can see the difference. I should go outside and see what that looks like outside. And then in the back, make sure I'm far enough away. Maybe you could see a little bit of that variation as well. And yes, it is more curly. It's wavier, actually. I don't know if I would say it's curlier. I'd say it's wavier than mine. And of course, mine's been through the wind a little bit too, so some of that curl has been relaxed, and I've combed it. I always use a wide tooth comb. I don't ever use a brush on my wigs or anything like that, especially when they're curly, because I want to keep that curl. And this has not been brushed. This is the way it comes. I did sort of stick my fingers in it a little bit to wake up the fibers, but this is what they look like when they come out of the box. Now, this one, it's still big, and I can see the area I would have to take in to make this fit me. But the funny thing is, it's big up here. And I'm thinking that would be the, more or less the ear-to-ear measurement is what this would take up if mine was larger. I'm small circumference, I'm small this way, that way. I don't know why. It's like my head said, okay, we're going to keep this one the size of a child. There's no advantage to that either, let me tell you. But anyway, it has a funny little, I don't know, it's like I'm missing part of my skull. But I think it's just maybe partly the way this wig is made as well. So anyway, if you have a larger head, Estetica is your friend. She will definitely work for you because she just runs big. Now, I did something with this one that I want to show you. I'll show you the inside of the cap. And here's a telltale sign that a wig has been, worn a lot. I got a lot of hair sticking out there. It has an extended nape, but it's not felt covered, nor is it, stiff, I guess you'd say. It's got these nice ear tabs, very well constructed, and some of the most comfortable I've ever worn on either side, and they're bendable. This is just a basic cap except for the top, and the top is a mono part and a lace front, and there's no division between the mono part and the lace front, so I think that makes for a nice transition right here. It doesn't look like there's just a wad of too much hair either right here, which is nice. It's well done. You probably really wouldn't have to pluck this part if you felt the need to do so. Now, the reason mine has band-aids on it is kind of a cute story. I was trying to figure out how to make my scalps look more natural, so I bought some very expensive scar tape, and I used it on one of them. I forget which one I used it on, but anyway, it worked. It was good, but I thought, man, if I do this to all of them, I'm gonna go broke. That stuff's expensive. And my little 4-year-old grandson got a thumb injury. This is another weird story. His little friend, who is just his age, smashed his thumb with a brick. Yes, he still calls her his girlfriend. I don't know. Anyway, he had to go to the ER. It was cut and slightly fractured, so he had to wear a splint for a while. After the splint came off, they had to put band-aids around his finger and change him several times a day, and I had to do it too. So she showed me how they do it. They put the band-aid on, and you take 2 band-aids, and you take the second band-aid after you put the first one on, and you cut it. So you just have the adhesive part, and you attach that to it, and you take it around. Anyway, it was kind of a complicated way of making sure that it stayed properly covered. And I looked at that and I said, you know what? I looked at the leftover pieces that I had to cut off, and I said, this looks just like scar tape. And I thought, well, I'll just pop this in here and see if it helps with my part. This is a Band-Aid here, Band-Aid here. They're nice quality Band-Aids. They have never slipped or come out, and I think they look natural. I'm going to turn this around and give you another peek at the part. Look at that. Doesn't that look like a scalp? That, my friends, is Band-Aids. Just the sticky part. And it works great. You just, attach them end to end. This has two. Actually, I think it's two Band-Aids that have had the center cut out. I think that's what we were doing with them, is we were cutting the centers out to use on his bandage. So anyway, that was fun, and I thought it was a great option for getting a natural looking part without having to spend so much money on scar tape. And I think that because this is low permatease and it's a medium density. I don't think it's a ton of hair. It's a little heavier in the front than I like, but most wigs are. You know, so it's not super heavy, but they did the part right. I mean, it's a mono part, not a mono part, but yes, it is a mono part. But you usually part them in the same place when you have a mono part over and over again. So that's where this worked. I mean, I haven't covered the whole area here of the part. I just picked the part where I like it to be. And then I put the Band-Aids there. So that was fun. Interesting. And here's Avalon's tag, such as it is. Okay, so now you've seen my two Avalons. I actually have a third Avalon that I bought secondhand. It's in a very different shade and very different condition, and I'll show that one to you with the next video. I need to wrap this up because if I keep going, I'm going to be talking about Estetica for hours, and I don't think you want that. Anyway, stay tuned for some outside looks at these two in their particular color, and the old RH1488 RT8 and the newer. See if you notice any differences. I will say that it's very hard to catch it on camera. I see it when I'm with them. I have them in both hands, and then sometimes when I look back at the film, I really can't see the differences clearly, and that is one of the issues with digital photography and wig colors. There's just a lot of different variances that can happen once you put these things on digital. Anyway, thank you so much for being here. Look for part 2 of my Estetica series, and I will certainly see you all later. Thanks so much. Bye-bye. All right. Here is Avalon, my older Avalon. Indirect light. And I brought her sister, her younger sister. You've heard of wig sister? These are sister wigs. They're really twins, but they have different birth dates. Ah, can you see what I'm doing? There we go. Now, if I can just hang on to this, we'll move into the other light. You can see some of the subtle differences that I do in the older and the newer RH1488 RT8.